In the past, I have talked about how much I love role-playing games, and a lot of the games that really just immersed me into a world and changed how I thought about different scenarios and how I thought about teamwork and things like that. And in my last video, I explained a lot of these games that I really obsessed over. And in this video, I'm going to take that one step further and tell you about a game that I can't get off my mind. And the reason I can't stop thinking about this game is because I'm creating it. In the last video, I talked about all of these different games and what makes them so wonderful, what makes each game unique and special, and why each one will make you feel a different thing. And I realized that I want all of that in one game. I talked about Paranoia because it's a game that I don't own the book for. And the reason I don't own the book for it is because over time, my friends and I have developed this weird alternate version of the game that's not really Paranoia anymore. It has the same theme and the same ideas, but all of the mechanics were kind of thrown out the window. And I realized that if we didn't need those to have as much fun as we do with that game, then I can create something that's perfect for us. And originally it was supposed to just be for us, but I started running it for people, and some people have asked me for copies of it, and all of it is in here. And so I started writing it down. Well, the rain cooled things down for sure, but I missed like a day. All right, so you want to play a new game, right? Gear up, grab your friends, take a drink, and don't forget to stretch. We're going beyond the fall. It's 1997. Y2K still hasn't happened yet, so everything's still quite all right. A quiet metal man stands behind the hotel bar. The fall, as they call it, is empty tonight. The job opening you saw scrawled in thick black letters on the sandwich board out front has now been filled, and you're on duty. The barkeep introduces himself as Durain, and he has your first job assignment. The terminal on level 4 is reporting a rat problem. If you want to get paid, you have to go sort it out. Why does it rain every day I try and do this? So what is the game exactly? Beyond the Fall is my exploration into building a world that other people could enjoy. Something that's never ending and exploratory and not medieval fantasy. Beyond the Fall is about a hotel that is megalithic in size and endless, and no one really knows where it goes or how big it is. And it doesn't matter, that's not the part that matters. Adventure is inside of the hotel, so if you want to leave, you can, but where's the fun in that? The point of it is to go beyond the fall, this small, shining, like, bar where you can have drinks with the robot bartender, but then when he gives you a job, you're gonna have to take it. When you take the jobs, you're gonna go up the elevator. You're gonna go to whatever floor he's told you to, or you can go wherever you would like. And the elevator will open up to perhaps a floor full of hotel rooms, or a hallway that has been long forgotten, or pitch darkness, or something that you can't really comprehend. Maybe it just opens up into the wilderness. Maybe it opens up into a world you haven't seen yet. Beyond the Fall goes so deep into your imagination that you can go wherever you want to, and it's never what you expect. It's never what you wanted, but perhaps you find what you wanted there all along. This isn't some existential crisis game, perhaps it is for me at least, but what it really is supposed to be a storytelling game where you tell stories with other people. You get into tight situations and you try to get out of them. You get weapons and weird things out of the giant gashapon machine in the basement near the ice coolers, and you try and use them to survive. If you get hurt, the hotel will fix you up. If your arm gets blown off, it'll repair it with some metal parts they have lying around. If you lose an eye, they'll give you a bionic one, because the hotel is run by something. Something that's laid dormant for a while. An AI of sorts that's running through a lot of the terminals. They've all been split off from the main AI, but they're all kind of on the fritz. They're trying to keep the hotel together, to keep it clean, to keep it profitable. But they've all kind of lost their way. So when they tell you to fix something, it's in their best interest, but it might not be in yours. Beyond the Fall is an exploration of all of these different ideas, and whatever you want to put into the game, you can. If you want to go to a floor that just opens up into Curse of Strahd, you can. I've written a lot of different modules that I can just run players through whenever I want to, because the only thing you need to do when you start a game is ask the players their names. And they can give you whatever name they want. If you watched an earlier video of mine about role-playing games, you can see where this ties in. I love being able to sit down, grab some drinks, grab some Doritos, and just say, okay, we're playing, and everyone goes, oh, okay, what do I have to do? And then you ask them a question, what's your name? They answer that question with whatever they come up with. Then you ask them, where did they come from? What's their backstory? So Beyond the Fall is less of a rules set and more of a campaign setting that you can run by itself. Something that you can run with just simple rules and a beautiful, ever-expanding world. Something that you can add to. It's not finite. It's something I'm passionate about because I wanted to run a game for my friends that they had no boundaries to enter. We all know you've tried to get your friends into a game of Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons or Blizzards and Grottos or whatever you play, and after the fourth question of what's an armor class? Or how do spells work? Which one is a D12? If I have 4 arms, can I get 4 attacks? And you were left with $400 worth of hardcover adventure content and no players. Beyond the Fall is based on the idea that we have a natural understanding of how a story works. If you're thrown into a world, you automatically start making decisions. You start making assumptions of how things work, of how things look. That's how role-playing games function. Someone will give you a description of something and your mind is incredibly good at filling in all the blanks of what you don't understand. If someone says it's a metal monstrosity, you automatically get an idea of what that might look like. If it says it has 30 different tentacle arms, you start to assume things. And if someone says it's extremely feminine, all of your understanding of it changes to suit this new idea. Beyond the Fall uses this idea that we already understand these things. That by letting the GM or the DM, or in this case the hotel manager, the HM, ask questions, we don't have to state rules. Instead of telling people these are the rules, you ask them a question like, what is your name? Where do you go? Beyond the Fall intentionally hides most of this so that players can just get back to running in the game and learning throughout it. Now the game's obviously very rules light, but I'm trying to avoid making it simplistic because there's a lot of different games that you'll play for a little while and feel like you exhausted it. So in Beyond the Fall, I'm trying to create a framework of mechanics rather than a strict rule set. The idea was not to create a balanced warfare system or be able to min-max characters or anything like that. I'm creating it to let you develop a story with your friends, sitting around a table or a campfire or at the beach or at the airport, just to run a game to create memories with your friends. Because the stories that are created in a game are what, when you leave the game, you tell other people. You tell them what happened, what people you met, what characters you created, what adventure you went on, and what loot you found. You never really talk about the combat system. And now it might reasonably sound like I get frustrated with rules and combat systems. And that's true because I've had a lot of players that I've tried to get into games stop playing because of that. They've said this is too hard or too frustrating, or they haven't said anything at all, and the next time I bring it up, they propose maybe a board game or something like that. And I completely understand their frustration. We've all played a game where you and your friends have sat around a table, and when you take your turn, you fire off some second level magic spell, and it fizzles out. And then you wait half an hour for your turn to come back around because you're fighting 6 golems that the DM threw at you, and you're not dealing much damage. The golems are also not dealing much damage. And the hours tick by as you just smack these golems and they smack you, and you whittle down each other as the discussions of, should I do this? Or should I, can we just run? And then finally, when the wizard takes out his short sword, you know that everyone's having a pretty rough time. Not because they're being defeated easily, but because they're sick of just slapping these things. And a lot of people will tell me that, oh, you just had a bad DM that didn't make it fun for you, that made these battles drag on for so long. And while that might be true, I've played a lot of D&D games in my life, and a majority of them will struggle from this slog at one point, this battle that isn't tense because you've been playing it for 2.5 hours, and it doesn't even matter. It's a goblin that you met in a hallway, or 2 guards that aren't even guarding anything, and killing them or letting them go or running away, either way it won't matter. And so when I say I'm not trying to make a perfect combat system, that's because I'm trying to remove it as a focus. A large number of people must love combat systems and just whittling down foes and slowly getting to the end of them, and then feeling accomplished because you've killed this many people or whatnot. But I'm not one of those people. And I know for a fact that this is why a lot of people don't get into role-playing games. Or they try it once and they think, that was pretty boring, this isn't really for me. The stories that you tell your friends outside of battle are these cinematic moments of you striking down your foe, of you telling jokes, of you outwitting a terrible opponent, of something you found or created, of adventures and stories, not of you beating a golem to a pulp over 3.5 hours. Beyond the Fall will focus in turning combat into a story element rather than a roadblock. It changes combat from a everyone stop role-playing, we're gonna roll initiative and do some math, to a flowing set of ideas that should keep everyone on the edge of their seat, keep these tense battles cinematic. I've always focused on one thing while running role-playing games with my friends, and it's to take all of the boundaries out so you can just have fun. And who knows if I'll actually create a game that tons and tons of people will like. But I know that I've run this game for veteran D&D players and people that have never thought about touching a role-playing game alike. Later on down the line, people will start talking about the stories that they created in here, about the rat people they met, or about that robot and how he was a little bit different than the rest. They'll start naming different characters, they'll start really getting into the stories, and that is what role-playing games are about. Now, if you're interested in this game, please let me know, because I want this to be a little bit more collaborative than just a one-man thing. If you want to play the game, let me know. If you want to meet up and play it, I'd be happy to do so. If you want just the rules for it, I'm almost done writing them down. If you want to write adventures for it later on, contact me. I think it's an interesting prospect, and who knows what'll actually happen with it, but it's definitely taking up my free time. So thanks for watching, and if you like this, if you want to see more about this game, if you want to see more about role-playing games in general and about some other game ideas I have, then like the video. If you want to subscribe, do that as well. Comment below if you have any ideas on any of this. And I appreciate you watching all the way to this end. Play some role-playing games with your friends. Play whatever you want in any style you want, with any rules you want, and warp any game you want into something that you guys have fun with. Thanks so much for watching. Just play some fun games.